Let's dive right into this explainer and transport ourselves back 3,000 years to the deep, wild waters of the Pacific Northwest. We're going to explore a story that has literally echoed through the ages, a narrative derived straight from the ancient shores of what we now call the Salish Sea. It's a story all about youth, ambition, and a totally jaw-dropping encounter with the overwhelming power of nature.
So what actually happens when a young boy's ambition collides head-on with the ancient spirits of the deep? To really understand how ancient legends were born from the terrifying yet absolutely beautiful power of nature, we're going to follow a chronological journey that turns a boastful teenager into a living myth. We'll look at exactly how indigenous communities processed awe-inspiring natural events and turned them into oral traditions that survived for millennia.
Part 1. The Ancient Salish Sea. Let's set the scene in the southern reaches of the Salish Sea, specifically that dark blue ribbon we now call Hood Canal. I want you to imagine a breathtaking, completely silent world untouched by modern industry. There are no roads, no towns, no hum of engines, nothing like that. Instead, the shoreline is dominated by endless walls of massive cedar, fir, and hemlock. We're talking trees so huge, some are wider than 3 people standing shoulder to shoulder, just leaning out over the water. It's an ecosystem absolutely alive, with the cries of wheeling gulls, the distant bark of seals, and black-tailed deer moving silently through the shadows. In this environment, the ancestors of the coastal Salish people are living in cedar longhouses and sheltered coves. They're drying fish on cedar poles in the sea breeze, and their entire existence is deeply intertwined with the rhythm of the tides and those surrounding forests.
Part 2. A boy's ambition. Into this ancient, perfectly balanced world steps our main guy, Kallis. He's a spirited 14-year-old boy whose bravery, well, it definitely outran his caution. Picture this. It's a freezing cold autumn morning. He's prepping his cedar canoe, and the elders give him a very stern warning. A woman mending clam baskets tells him, "Do not go too far beyond Yalwa Hadi. The deep water belongs to powerful spirits." But Kallis, he's tired of being called Little Otter. He's driven by that universal teenage urge to prove himself, so he totally brushes off the warning. He is absolutely determined to paddle out and bring back a massive white fish, so his mom, and honestly the whole village, will finally view him as a man.
Part 3. The Spirit Fish. So, paddling past the plunging cliffs of Yalwa Hade, Kallis enters these twisting currents and an immense, heavy silence. Out here, the water gets much darker and a whole lot deeper. The village just completely fades away. Kallis drops his braided sinew line and bone hook into the dark blue depths and just drifts. He waits there for nearly an hour, and in the middle of this profound tranquility, he speaks into the silence. He whispers, "Someday I will paddle farther than anyone, maybe even beyond where the sea meets the sky." But literally just as those ambitious words leave his mouth, that absolute quiet of the morning is violently shattered. Out of nowhere, the line violently jerks. It's burning across his palms. What follows is an exhausting, absolutely terrifying fight. The fish is pulling the canoe, testing every ounce of the kid's physical limits. When this silver-scaled giant finally breaks the surface, it is bigger than any grown man in the village. Kallis stands up to haul it in, but the creature explodes into motion with a massive tail smash. Kallis completely loses his footing and pitches right over the side. The freezing, icy water of the canal hits him like a literal hammer. His heavy fur clothing immediately starts dragging him downward. And to make matters worse, his canoe is just drifting away.
Part 4. The Chief of Waters.
This is where we hit the most terrifying moment of the story. Kallis is actively drowning, fighting a losing battle against the freezing depths. As his arms go totally numb, the deep water beneath him gets even darker, and this massive shadow starts moving below. Now, you might be thinking a sea monster is coming to finish him off, right? But no, the unmistakable flash of white reveals something else entirely. An enormous orca surfaces right beside him. The source text describes its black and white skin gleaming like polished stone, with an eye that looked ancient and intelligent beyond human understanding. It surfaces with this deep, rushing exhale that sounds almost human.
Delirious, freezing to death, and completely terrified, Kallis stares into the dark eye of the whale and whispers this desperate plea. "Great One, if you have come to take me, then do it quickly. Please, my mother will grieve for me." He really believes this is the end. He starts slipping beneath the surface as his strength gives out completely. But then, an absolutely incredible thing happens. Something vast and solid moves underneath him. The great whale gently lifts the weeping boy onto its broad back and swims steadily, carrying him straight over to his drifting canoe.
Part 5. A Legend is Born.
Far away on the beach, clam diggers are watching in utter shock as this massive sea creature delivers the boy right back to his boat. Using his fading strength, Kallis pulls himself over the gunwale and completely collapses. When he finally wakes up on the beach later, he's surrounded by his crying mother and these totally silent, awestruck villagers. He gets up, walks down to the edge of the tide, and the whale is still there, floating motionless beyond the surf, just watching him. Kallis places his hand on his chest and says, "You are my brother now." For a few heartbeats, the orca just stays there, almost like it's listening. And then, with astonishing power, it launches its immense body completely out of the water in a spectacular sunlit breach before vanishing beneath the dark waters.
What's really fascinating here is how this incredible encounter transitions from a personal survival story straight into enduring folklore. It kicks off with the immediate shock and awe of the silent village on the beach, the actual eyewitnesses. Then, as time rolls on, it becomes this epic tale told by elders to kids in cedar longhouses while rain is just hammering the roofs during winter storms. From there, travelers carry the story north in their canoes and south along the inland shores. The idea spreads like wildfire. It ripples all across the Salish waters, transforming this one miraculous event into a foundational piece of their cultural storytelling for literally generations. Because the Great Orca had recognized something noble in him and chose to spare his life, the entire community started treating Kallis differently as he grew older. People really believed he carried the protection of the sea spirits. I mean, mothers would ask him to bless their fishing hooks, and hunters would actually touch his canoe for luck before heading out on dangerous journeys. His old childhood name totally faded away, forever cementing his new legendary title, Kallis Orcazan, which translates to Kallis, son of the Great Orca. This explainer really shows us exactly how ancient people processed the awe-inspiring forces of their world. They didn't just look out and see animals. They saw intelligent spirits, siblings of the sea that were completely tied to their own survival and morality. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder. How do our own encounters with the overwhelming power of nature shape the stories we pass down to future generations? What kind of modern myths are we creating today when we stand at the edge of the deep water? Definitely something to think about the next time you look out across the ocean.